Good afternoon, everyone. As our introducer has indicated, my name is Carolyn Cooper, and I want to welcome all of you to the first of two sessions we are conducting to provide an overview of the capabilities and functions of the Buffalo Management Information System. As many of you are aware, this Management Information System was initially developed a number of years ago by the Buffalo City Drug Court, particularly Judge Robert Russell, the late Hank Pirowski, and Jose Ferrer, who is here with us today to serve as a lead presenter. Over the years, the system has been enhanced to capture critical information relating to drug court program operations and impacts, as well as to incorporate additional problem-solving courts that have developed in Buffalo, the Buffalo Veterans Court, the Mental Health Court, and other specialized programs. It also has been enhanced to incorporate critical information requested by BJA for the PMT reporting for grantees, as well as to capture information from assessments geared to the recently published DCM-5. So the Buffalo MIS was donated to American University by the Buffalo City Court to be disseminated free of charge to the field. And to date, we have sent copies of the Buffalo MIS to over 700 drug court programs in the U.S. and abroad. Jose has also prepared a Spanish version of the program. The session is organized as follows: approximately 30 minutes for presentation and explanation of the program and its critical features, and then time for questions and answers. Tenzing Laden of our staff has been critical in planning these as well as assisting many of the users of the system. So I'm going to turn the program over to Tenzing now.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the first session. This session will be most useful to those who have already installed the Buffalo MIS on their computer and are familiar with the software. If you don't have the software or would like to obtain an updated version of the Buffalo MIS, then please send us a request. You can send it to the email address that will be provided on the last PowerPoint. This is the first of the two sessions. The second session will be next week, Wednesday, December 10th at the same time at 2 p.m. Eastern. This first session will cover the basic features of the Buffalo MIS and reporting capabilities, including those of general reporting and evaluation purposes, as well as completing BJA PMT reporting. The second session will cover specific applications and is designed as hands-on session for webinar participants to work alongside of Jose as he demonstrates these applications. Jose's presentation today will be approximately 30 minutes. We will be taking questions throughout the session, but we'll focus on answering those at the end of the session. To ask a question, please use the Q&A panel on the bottom right-hand corner. We have an evaluation form which we hope you will complete at the end of the session and indicate on it any special questions or functions you would like us to address in the next session. About Jose, he has been with Buffalo City Court since 1996, and Hank Pirowski and Jose developed this MIS system, which was donated by Buffalo City Court. Jose has revised it several times, including recently updated version of 2011. Jose has been invited to several courts in U.S. to provide training on the Buffalo MIS, as well as providing technical support to modify MIS system to meet the court's specific need under BJA Drug Court Technical Assistance Project. So I will pass. I will let Jose take over now.
Good afternoon, everybody. We are going to start covering the features of the database. We are going to explain what the program is about, the requirements for the programs, how to install the program in the computer, how to set up the program to work on a multi-user environment system, the types of fields that the system can collect, how to display the data, and other features of the program such as reports, charts, randomizers, and other reports. And also, we are going to start displaying how to start entering data on the computers. And at the end, we will have a space, as Tenzin and Caroline mentioned, for questions and answers. We are going to start discussing what is the Buffalo MIS system. The Buffalo MIS is a management information system designed with Access 2010. It can be used on a stand-alone computer or on a local access network, meaning a network of computers connected with each other through either a shared computer or a server or network. It can there can be up to 255 users at the same time, theoretically. In Buffalo, there are at least 30 computers connected to the Buffalo MIS without a problem. And we have never had any problem with sharing information or with the amount of users. The program, as I mentioned before, is designing Access. The advantage of Access is that it doesn't require a high-level programming or programmer to make any modification to the programs. It's not a SQL-based database. It's not an Oracle-based database, so it does not require a SharePoint server or any kind of high-end technology to maintain the database. The requirements for the program is basically a Microsoft Windows computer. This program is not compatible with Macintosh computer or with Chromebooks. So you need either a Windows computer running either Access 2010 or Access 2013. I need to let you know that if you are going to buy and install Access 2013 or Office 2013, better known as Office 365, the Access 365 is not compatible with Windows XP at all. So you need to make sure that you have Windows 7 on the computer or Windows 8 if you are going to install Access 13. The program is compatible with either one of them. Unfortunately, the program is not compatible with Access 2007, even though it has the same extension. It just doesn't work with this program. We are going to discuss how to install the program from either a CD or from a jump drive to the computer. There is no set of files. There are no installation executable files. All you have to do is drag the file from the flash drive to the folder where you want to store the database. If you are going to use the database in only one computer, you can transfer it from the flash drive or from a CD to either the desktop, to My Documents, or to any other folder that you prefer. However, if the program is going to be shared, then we are going to discuss later the steps to divide the program into programs so you can share the program. However, if you are going to copy the program from a CD, the program might have some read-only attributes. So the program can be read-only. To fix that is very easy. All you have to do is right-click the program, and from the options provided, click on the properties option, and from the properties window, click on the read-only checkbox. Make sure that is clear. So it should be like this one right here. By that, you will be removing the read-only feature, and the program should work with any computer, and it should allow you to enter data. Now, if you are going to split the program, or if you're going to use the program with several users, you need to split the program into what we call a back-end database and a front-end database. There are users who try to create a shortcut of the program and install the shortcut or copy the shortcut to different computers. This is not recommended, because you will be transferring to a server the entire database as opposed to only the data if you split the database. So basically, when you split the database into the back end and the front end, the back end of the database should be on the share folder on the server network or a shared computer that all the remaining computers can have access to. Then the front-end copy of the database can be installed in all the remaining computers. Once the database is split, there should be no changes to the name or the modification to the database unless it's been disconnected from all the other computers. So let's go step by step on how to do the splitting. To split a database, the user needs to click on the database tools. On the toolbar of the database window, there is 5 tabs: File, Home, Create, External Data, and Database Tools. From the Database Tools, you can click on the Access button located on the right of the Access tool, and it will prompt to split the database into database. It will create the back end, and it will create or it will leave a front end, and it will leave links to all the tables on the back end database. Once you click on the split button, the user can then change the name if they want, although they don't have to, of the back-end database. However, like I said, once the process is done, you should not change the name of the database because it can lose the connection with all the other copies. So if you can see here on the example here below, the database will create a VE at the end to indicate that this is the back-end database. This is where all the data is going to be stored. When the users use the front-end copy, it will look like the data is there, but it will actually be stored on this database. So once you have selected the folder, I have simulated here that I have a shared network folder. Once you have created the folder or find the folder, you can click the Open button here to open the folder, and then you will click on the Split button of the computer to split the database into the back end and the front end. This will create, as you can see here on the right, it will create a back end copy, and it will leave the front end copy. You can see a difference first because the size is going to be different. One is going to be having the data, so it's going to be small, and the other one is going to have the remaining of the objects, which is going to be bigger. Eventually, actually, the VE is going to be larger as you keep storing and storing and storing data. Now, also, if you open both and you put them side to side, you can see that the master database or the back-end database will have only tables. That's it. It will have only tables containing all the data that you're storing in the database. And the front end, as you can see on this right here, the right here, you will have all the queries, forms, reports, macros, etc., and all the links to all the tables that are on the master database. So when you open a front-end copy, you will be entering data there, but the data will be actually saved on the master database. What kind of data can you store in the Buffalo MIS? You can pretty much store any data. There are different type of fields. You have what they call in Access 2010 as short text and long text. The first one here, the alphanumeric character text, or what they call short text, can store up to 255 characters. It can store letters, spaces, numbers, or symbols. The long text, which is the same one that in previous version was called memo, it can store up to 65,000 characters per record or per field. The difference between the long text and the short text is that you cannot do a search based on a long text. Long text should only be used for like memos, notes, information where you're going to type a lot of information, but you don't need to search a record based on the information on that field. For example, the address field is a short text field, and you can technically search by any address of any client. If we go to the other fields, you have the number field where definitely you can store numbers. The difference between a number field and a text field, even though you can store a number in both, is that the text field could allow you to make calculations. So you can calculate age, you can calculate numbers, you can calculate salary, you can calculate number of days in treatment. That you can do it with number fields. You cannot do that with text field. Date field, again, is to store date. And again, even though you can also store date on text field, but you cannot make date calculations on a text field, only on a text field. True or false values, they are like checkboxes. These are the easiest way for you to collect data. Basically, if you don't click anything there, it should be false. And if you click it, it should be true. That's plain and simple, very quickly to get data. The currency field is basically almost identical to the number field, with the only difference that it will display the data as a currency, depending on the type of currency that you indicate. The ID number is a number that the computer automatically generates, usually on an ascending order, unless you specify it otherwise, and it will help you to create, a computer ID number that you can then use to join other tables based on that number. You can also have calculated fields. Calculated fields will allow you to create calculations right there without the use of a calculator. For example, I'm going to show you right now this average weekly salary on the computer. So if we go to the database and we open, for example, the employment, you can see here that based on this information, based on a $14 per hour and 70 hours per week, the client would be making this amount per week. If you change this to a $25 per hour, you can see that automatically the number is changed. There's no need for you to do any data. Okay, so going back to the PowerPoint, you also have the attachment fields. On the attachment fields, you can store pictures, you can store documents. Let's say that you want to store certificate of completion for the client, or any documentation from the client. For the client, you don't have a folder, or you want to make sure that you have it somewhere on the computer in case that you misplace a folder. You can scan it and you can save it there, and then you can double click it at any given point and it will open the entire document that you scan. You can also view the forms in different ways. The easiest way to view the forms or the data are the forms. There are several different types of forms in the computer. You have a triage, which will give you a presentation of all the data that was collected on the Rolodex, and you can print it in case you want to fax it or email it. Also on the Rolodex, if we show the Rolodex again, you can see that the Rolodex divide the fields by the areas of the client. That will make it easier to find. You have also the queries. Now, the queries are a very easy way to gather data from the tables and display, and you can use them to see if you are missing any data, because you can type data right there. So in this example right here, you could see that there are some address missing. You could go to the form and enter information, or you can enter the information right there. So it's a very quick way to pull and display information, or see if you are missing any information and type it. A query like this can take maybe like 30 seconds to 1 minute to build. You can also use the queries to sort information. You can use the queries to filter information. So let's say that you want to see only the defendants that resides in a zip code, or only the defendants that are female or males, or only the defendants that are African Americans or Asian or Caucasian. You can use queries pretty easy to make this filter this data, and on the second webinar where we will talk more about this. You can also present the data using crosstabs. Crosstab is a type of query that would allow you to create a presentation of the data you have on a different format than query. Basically, like in this query right here, it will tell you how many clients have been admitted to the program, the months, if you look at the right, when they were admitted, and the zip code where they came from. And again, this is just one example. You can do many different type of crosstabs, and they are very easy to build. We can talk about them more on the second webinars. You can also do charts. Charts are a visual presentation of the data that you have stored on the database. In this example, I'm showing the mental health diagnosis by percentage, the primary drug percentage chart. All these charts are already built on the system. You can also display data through different reports. You can see here on the report on the left, this is one report that is already built on the system, and it basically creates a comparison between the data from the client before going to drug court or going to the program. Doesn't have to be a drug court, it could be a mental health court or any other program. Before going to the program, and you can see after the client completed the program, so you can do a calculation, or the system can do a calculation for you of how many clients completed high school while in drug court, how many clients were employee while they were in the program, how many clients have drug-clean babies while in the program. You can also calculate in this report how many total days the defendant would do in jail if it wasn't for the program, and how many days they actually serve. And the program will give you an idea of how much money you are saving to your county or to your state because of your program, and that can help you with grants. Also in the right here, this is basically what I call a general statistic report. This is built in the system, and it can tell you right there with a click of a button how many females, males, how many, the race, the ethnicity, the primary drug of choice, the educational level, employment status, medical insurance, and there's more information below. And all this is just with a click of a button. This program is very easy to change the date. So if you want to set these reports for a specific date, technically all you have to do is click a button, which is built right there, and change the date that you want for all the reports. And all the reports will be reflecting the date selected. You can also do drug court reports. These are the reports that you can present to the judge on court dates. In this database, it has two types of progress report. It has a 2 pages detailed progress report, and it has a 1 page more condensed report. It's your choice whether you want to use one. For example, in the 2 pages, you have the ability to collect the picture of the defendant if you want. The second page, of course, it is more condensed, but it will allow you to save more paper for the court. You can also divide with this program the type of clients you have, whether they are in drug court, mental health court, youth court, DUI court, or any other type of court. There are some users that have asked me if they need a database for the clients that are in mental health court and a database for the clients that are in drug court or veterans court, and the answer is no. With this database, you can enter all the data here, and if you ever have the need to do a report of how many clients total you have in your court, you can do it with the database. And if you also have the need to divide it by court source, by drug court, by mental health court, you can also do it. So you have both, the best of both worlds here. You can, like in the database, there are at least like 6 or 7 type of courts built in, but you can also build your own courts. If you have a gun court or if you have different type of courts that are not here, it is very easy to build queries or calendars to separate them. Basically, once you go to the Rolodex, and let me just go pretty quick to Rolodex. Once you go to the Rolodex and you click here, the court source, you are dividing where, or you are selecting where the client is. And that way you can show how many are drug court, how many are in the UI court. And again, you can very easily add more courts in this area. You can also see a visual presentation of the total clients and the percentage, how the data is being divided into your core. What percentage of the clients are in one core, and what percentage or numbers are in a different core. That will help you to see what type of core you might need to expand, or what type of core you might need to get more case managers, and what type of core is okay with the case manager they have or with the information that they have. Also the same, you can see if you have different type of case managers and you assign cases to the case managers, you can see through these charts how many active clients each case manager has, and it will give you an idea of who should you assign the next case. Another feature on the program, and this is a new one on this version. In previous version, I did a randomizer by color. Each time that you create a client on the database will automatically assign a random color for that client. And you could use the randomizer and click on a button, and it will give you a random color. And you could see the clients that match this color. However, because of some clients can remember the color or they pretend that they forget, we also added an additional one here, which is the same style randomizer, but for month of birth. So once you spin the randomizer will select a random month, and it will give you a list of all the clients that have the same month of birth. And that should be easier for the clients to remember than the color. You have two right here, one for general clients and one that can also be used for the clients that are scheduled to appear to court on the selected date. You also have the veterans form, in which you can store information that is only related to veterans, like DD-214 information. Are they enrolled in veterans? What kind of branch of service? Are they active, retire? Did they participate on any kind of combat deployment? And so on. And so information that is only for Veterans Corps, and it will help them assign a mentor or the assistant that they need. Also, in previous versions, you have the ability to collect the data based on the DSM-4 criteria. You could enter the data from axis 1 through 5. As most of you know, the DSM-4 is changing into a DSM-5. And all the diagnosis change, all the information change. There is no longer an axis 1 through 5. It's just one axis. And now you have the ability to also collect information using the DSM-5 style. So you have both there. If you want to still use the DSM-4, you can. And if you want to start using the DSM-5 once it is available on the market, then you can use it too. Another feature of the program is the ability to filter by forms. Usually, in previous version, you were able to search information based on one field at a time. If you wanted to search by name, you had to search by last name, maybe then after that search by first name, or if you wanted to search by court date, you could, but only one field at a time. In this version, you also, besides the searching option, you have the filter by form option. The filter by form option allows you to filter by as many fields as you want at the same time. So in this example right here, if I have, let me just please close this one right here for 1 second and open it with all the cases. So right now, if you have 7 cases right here, but not all of them are active, and you want to filter and show only the clients that are active, you can left click this button right here, and type the active word right here, and then right-click the button, and from the option provided, click Apply Filter. And now, instead of showing me 7 clients, telling me that there are, out of the 7 clients, there are only 5 clients. And again, I could click on the filter form, click on how many clients are active that are on the draw core and that are scheduled to appear on any particular date, and it will search and it will give me only those data. So that will allow me to use the Rolodex if I wanted to create a calendar right there of all the clients that are in the system. If I want to see only the clients that are assigned to a case manager, again, I can use this feature to select or to filter and only display the clients that are assigned to any particular case manager. Also, the program, like I mentioned before, this is not an Oracle-based database. This is not a SQL-based database, although the queries are built on SQL, but it allows you to make modifications. This is a database that is being donated by American University and BGA assistants to the course, so they can use the database and make any modifications as they need it to fit their needs. So if they need to add more fields, they can do so, and this is going to be discussed in the next webinar. If they need to create different queries, again, they can do it. If they need to change the forms, remove fields that they don't need, add fields they need, it's up to them. They can definitely do it. And this is one of the features. Many different management information systems that are hosted by different companies, if you need to make a change, you need to make a request, and it will take a while. With this one, you can make your own changes at your own time. What is the easiest way to start entering data? Basically, you can enter data from a table, you can enter data from a query or from any form, but the most recommended way to enter data is by using the Rolodex. Right now, if we have the Rolodex right here, I am going to click the filter button so I can see all the clients again, and that's how you go from filter to unfilter. If I click on right now, if I try to switch or change the last name or first name, you cannot change it because they are secure once you save it. That will avoid that anybody change the name by mistake. So to add a record, you can click right here on this button right here, click the Add New button, and the system will disable the last name and first name security, so you can type your own name, and you can start then adding the information as you need it. And right now you can see that I had 7 records here. Now I have already 8 records. So, okay, once you start entering information here, there are some fields that are required, because I don't want you, or you don't want to create a client or a record and forget the docket number or the core ID number. And that's pretty much the basics. So we are going to have some time now for questions and answers. Any questions right now?
So this is Tenzing. So we had a couple of questions that people sent in earlier. So the first question is there a maximum number of records that we can have on this database?
Well, technically, theoretically, there is a maximum number of records, but it's going to be almost impossible to reach it. To give you an idea, in Buffalo, we have at least 40,000 records on the computer, and we haven't even reached 10% of the capacity of the program. So technically, the maximum size of the program is 2 terabytes. And before you get to 2 terabytes, you have to enter hundreds of thousands of records. So yes, there is a maximum, but it's almost impossible for any user to reach it.
The next question we have is, how much space do I need on my computer or server to keep the database?
Basically, the programs requires around 25 megabytes to start. Once you start entering information, it will slowly increase the size. However, like I said, in order for the program to reach to 200 megabytes, it needs to have like at least 40 or 50,000 records. So I would say no, you don't need more than 200 megabytes of space to hold this database.
Next question is it possible to keep a backup of the system somewhere, either on the server or on...
It is possible, and it is recommended. Once you have the database, you should create a backup folder. That should be something that your network administrator should do. If you don't have a network administrator, you can create a backup folder. And I recommend, honestly, that every morning or every afternoon, you make a copy of the database into the backup folder. That way, if something happened to a server that you cannot access the server for that day, or Lord forbid that somebody try to do something to the database, you have a backup copy. So definitely, it is highly recommended that the user should do a backup every single day, or at least once a week.
The next question we have is, should the general statistics just pull information from the participants you have entered?
I'm sorry, can you say it again?
Should the general statistics just pull information from the participants you have entered? The participants also wrote, when I pull the general statistics, it doesn't accurately display the number of female and male participants, for example.
Okay, once you get this version, this problem will be fixed. I'm assuming you can send this version. When I did when I created the VGA forms, there were some fields that were not converting clearly, and there were a problem there. So that's one of the reasons I created this updated version. So once they have this version, this problem will be fixed. And like I said, once you have this version, you have the ability to just change the date range for any report by just clicking here and adjusting to any date that you want.
I think the next question goes along with what you just said. But addition to that, they had a question, can they incorporate their own forms or reports into the system?
Yes. On the next webinar, we're going to discuss how to create forms, and they can they will be able to see how to add forms to the system. And if they want any more information, they can contact us, and we can give them further instructions on how to create forms. If they have any specific question with any specific form, we should be able to at least guide them on how to build the forms.
Next question is about how many users can be on the database, make changes at the same time, and about the password section. Okay.
Yes. As far as users, like I said before, there can be, theoretically, I never get to that point, but theoretically there could be up to 255 users. I can talk about what I see in Buffalo. We have at any time like 30 users at the same time using the computer. They should not be updating the same records at the same time. If you are typing a record and the other person open that file, they're going to see on the left side of the record, on what they call the record selector, it's going to look like a symbol that indicates that somebody else is editing this information. So they can see it, but the system will not allow the new data until the other person exit the record. As far as what was the other part of the question? How many
users can be on the database at the same time?
The same time, and the password. Yes, to create a password, you need to open the database from the Access program itself, because you need to have. Let me show you right now. So what you do is you can still see my computer. So I'm going to close this, and I'm going to try to open another database, but using the Microsoft Access program. So I'm going to click on Open, and I'm going to click on this one right here. But the key is that I'm going to click on the Open button right here and on the arrow, and I'm going to select Open Exclusive. That will allow me to have exclusive access to a database. If somebody is using the database, I will not be able to open the database exclusively. So once I do it, let me just click on Enable Content. I can click on File, and right there, I can type a password for the system. And once I type the password, the next time that they open it, they will require the password to open the program. Anything else?
One more question came. It's about the cost commitment associated with this database.
Well, the program itself is free. There is no cost. There is no commitment. You don't have to sign any statement saying that you're going to use it. The only cost, of course, is that you need to buy the licensing for the Microsoft Access. Usually, Microsoft Access run around $130 per CD, and I don't know exactly how much. I don't know if you buy multiple licenses, it's way cheaper, but I don't know exactly how much it is. But you need at least one license of Microsoft Access per each computer where you are going to run the program. So the answer, the program is completely free. There is no commitment to the program. If you get it and down the road you realize that you don't want to use it, or that you found something different that you like to use, there's no problem whatsoever. All you have to do is buy the Access program so you can run this database.
Okay, well, thank you, Jose, and thank you, everyone. I think that is all the questions we have today. But, Jose, if you could go to the last slide, because that gives us the address for people to send questions in if they want, that we can be prepared to answer the next at the next session, which will be next week, the 10th at the same time. And we would also welcome any special issues that you would like to make sure are addressed. As I mentioned, next week's session is going to be focused on specific applications, and we hope you will work along with Jose as he tells us all how to create certain forms and create certain reports, including the BJA reports that are required for grantees. So if there's I don't see any other questions coming up, so I want to thank everyone for their time and look forward to your feedback on the evaluation form, and if any issues that you would like covered, or as you think about it in the next few days, if there's some questions that come up that you'd like to clarify, please send them. I'm sure if you're thinking about it, lots of other people are thinking about it. So thanks again, thanks everybody, and we look forward to talking next week.